Chapter 7. The struggles of growing up the 100-acre wood had always been a place of peace for Christopher Robin, a place where he could simply be, without the worries of the grown-up world. But tonight, as he sat beneath the wide branches of a great oak tree, watching the stars twinkle above, Christopher felt something heavy tugging at his heart. The laughter of his friends echoed around him. Pooh, Piglet, Tigger, Eeyore, and Rabbit were nearby, chatting and playing, as if nothing had changed since the days when Christopher was a boy. But something had changed. Christopher had grown up. And with growing up came responsibilities, deadlines, and a world full of expectations that seemed to pull him further and further away from the simple joys of the 100-acre wood. Pooh, always attuned to Christopher's feelings, noticed the quiet look on his friend's face. He toddled over to where Christopher was sitting and plopped down beside him, his little legs stretched out in front of him. He looked up at the sky, then back at Christopher, his round, honey-colored eyes full of curiosity. "Christopher Robin?" Pooh asked softly, his voice warm and gentle. "Why are you looking so thoughtful?" Christopher smiled, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. "I've just been thinking, Pooh, about how things have changed." Pooh tilted his head, his brow furrowing. "Changed? How do you mean, Christopher Robin? We're all still here, and the woods are just the same." Christopher sighed, leaning back against the tree. "Yes, the 100-acre wood is still the same. But I'm not, Pooh. I've grown up. I have a job, a family, and so many responsibilities that I can hardly keep track of them all." Pooh blinked, his round tummy rumbling softly. "But what are responsibilities? Are they something you can eat?" Christopher chuckled, shaking his head. "No, Pooh. Responsibilities are things you have to do. Things like work, meetings, making sure everything is in order. It's important, but sometimes it feels like I'm missing something, like I've forgotten how to enjoy life." Pooh sat quietly for a moment, thinking about what Christopher had said. "But you haven't forgotten how to enjoy life, Christopher Robin. You're here with us, aren't you? That means you remember the most important thing." Christopher looked down at Pooh, his brow furrowing. "What do you mean, Pooh?" Pooh smiled, his soft voice full of wisdom. "The most important thing, Christopher Robin, is to do nothing. You used to say that yourself. Doing nothing often leads to the very best something, remember?" Christopher nodded slowly. "I remember, Pooh. But in the grown-up world, doing nothing doesn't always seem possible." Pooh shrugged his furry shoulders. "Perhaps not. But maybe it's not about doing nothing. Maybe it's about taking time to do something that makes you happy, like being here with your friends." Just as Christopher was about to respond, a loud bounce shook the ground beneath him. Tigger came bounding over, his stripes glowing in the dim light of the moon. "What's all this serious talk about, huh? I thought we were supposed to be having fun." Pooh looked up at Tigger and smiled. "Christopher Robin was just telling me about responsibilities." Tigger frowned, scratching his head. "Responsibilities? Oh, that sounds like no fun at all. You know what's better than responsibilities? Bouncing. You can't worry about grown-up stuff when you're bouncing." Before Christopher could protest, Tigger grabbed his arm and pulled him up. "Come on, old buddy. Give it a try." Christopher couldn't help but laugh as Tigger started bouncing up and down, dragging him along. For a moment, he let himself be swept up in the joy of it, bouncing alongside Tigger, feeling lighter than he had in days. Piglet, watching from nearby, giggled nervously. "Oh my, they look like they're having fun, don't they?" Eeyore, who had been lying in the grass, glanced up with his usual gloomy expression. "Well, fun's nice while it lasts. But it never lasts long, does it?" Christopher finally stopped bouncing, catching his breath. As the laughter died down, he found himself looking at his friends with a new sense of clarity. They didn't understand the pressures of the grown-up world, but they understood something far more important. They understood how to live in the moment, how to find joy in the simplest of things. He sat back down beside Pooh, his heart a little lighter. "Maybe you're right, Pooh. Maybe I've been so focused on work, on all the things I have to do, that I forgot how to enjoy the things I want to do." Pooh nodded, his face serious. "That's it, Christopher Robin. You don't have to do nothing all the time. but you can make time for the things that matter most. Tigger bounced back over, his face full of excitement. And if you ever get tired of those grown-up responsibilities, just come back here. There's always bouncing to do in the 100-acre wood. Christopher smiled, his heart swelling with gratitude for his friends. They reminded him of something he had almost forgotten, that life didn't have to be a constant rush. That even in the middle of all his grown-up worries, he could still make time for the things that brought him joy. The night grew quieter as the stars twinkled above, and the friends settled into a peaceful silence. Christopher leaned back against the tree, gazing up at the sky, feeling a sense of calm that he hadn't felt in a long time. "I think I've learned something important tonight," Christopher said softly, breaking the silence. "It's not about forgetting my responsibilities. It's about remembering to balance them with the things that make me happy, like being here, with all of you." Pooh looked up at him, his eyes shining with quiet understanding. "We'll always be here, Christopher Robin, whenever you need us." And in that moment, Christopher knew it was true. The 100-acre wood wasn't just a place from his childhood, it was a part of him, a reminder that life didn't have to be all work and no play. It was about finding the balance, about making time for the people and moments that mattered most. As the night wore on and the stars twinkled above, Christopher Robin made a promise to himself. He would take Pooh's lesson to heart. He would remember to slow down, to enjoy the simple moments, and to make time for the things that brought him joy. Because sometimes, as Pooh had always known, the very best something came from doing just a little bit of nothing.